Survival stress, sometimes called fear-induced stress, is stress caused by hormonal changes brought on by a perception of danger. The hormones cause an elevated heart rate that affects an officer's cognitive decision-making skills. There are 4 instinctual reactions to fear-induced stress: fight, flight, posture, and submit. These reactions are actually a matter of choice. During an encounter, survival stress occurs in both subject and officer. Some subjects may fight or flee, but some decide to submit and do what an officer tells them. Some react verbally and physically as if they may resist, posturing until the moment of truth. Then they submit, fight, or flee. A subject may demonstrate posturing when an officer gives him a command. The subject expands his chest and begins to speak loudly, shouting, "You're not taking me!" He strikes his chest with his open hand while stepping back and forth, side to side, and yells the same words over and over. When the officer displays a higher level of force or backup officers arrive, the subject may back down and follow the officer's verbal directions with no force used. If the subject does not submit to the officer's authority, this posturing may be a precursor to a fight or an indication that the subject is preparing to run. When an officer is in a physically or emotionally threatening situation, the officer's body adapts to help him or her react more effectively to the threat by releasing adrenaline and other hormones. By knowing this, you are better prepared to respond to recognize your body's changes in response to trauma and other incidents of injury. You should be aware of certain changes that occur to the body during and after survival stress, including physiological changes, motor performance changes, visual performance changes, cognitive changes, and critical incident amnesia. Physiological changes. The heart rate and respiration increase. Vascular flow moves away from the extremities. The body pulls the blood away from the arms and legs into the torso. This keeps the blood near the vital organs in case of emergency, and also protects the arms and legs, our weapons, from losing too much blood in case of injury. Hearing is diminished. This is known as auditory exclusion. Motor performance changes. There is a loss of fine motor skills at a heart rate of approximately 115 beats per minute. Fine motor skills refer to the muscle control required to make small, precise movements, such as unlocking handcuffs with a key. There's a loss of complex motor skills at a heart rate of approximately 145 beats a minute. Complex motor skills combine fine and gross motor skills, using hand and eye coordination timed to a single event. Gross motor skills are the movements of the large or major muscles of the body, such as running, punching, or kicking. Catastrophic motor skill breakdown may occur when the heart rate exceeds 175 beats a minute. There may be an increase in strength and speed for a short period of time. The heart rate may spike during a violent encounter to well over 200 beats per minute. Visual performance changes. Binocular vision is dominant. Both eyes remain open, and it is very difficult to close just one eye. There is a loss of peripheral vision and depth perception. This is known as tunnel vision. There is a loss of near vision. This is one reason that most officers involved in shootings never see the sights of their firearms. Physiologically, it is nearly impossible to focus. Cognitive functions. The cognitive brain, the part that logically thinks and plans, begins to shut down at 145 beats per minute. Decision-making is inhibited. The more choices you have, the slower you are to make a decision. Reaction time increases. This may be because of too much stimuli to process quickly, or because of denial that a violent encounter is actually happening. In general, high levels of adrenaline caused by fear-induced stress are likely to result in extreme strength, an increase in speed, a decrease in fine motor skills, and an increased ability to ignore pain. In other words, strength goes way up and dexterity goes way down. Officers who encounter an extremely stressful situation will consistently exhibit difficulty in transferring information into long-term memory, a physiological condition known as critical incident amnesia. Particular memory-related phenomenon in traumatic situations include the following: sensory overload during the actual incident. There's usually a sensory overload combined with a fixation on some particular aspect of the critical incident, often to the exclusion of all else. Post-incident amnesia immediately after the incident. Post-incident amnesia will often result in a failure to remember the majority of the information observed in the incident. Memory recovery after a healthy night's sleep. There is usually a memory recovery which will result in the remembering the majority of what occurred. This memory is probably the most pure. Reconstructed memory. Within 72 hours, the final and most complete form of memory will occur. It may be at least partially reconstructed and somewhat contaminated due to the inevitable process of integrating relevant information from other sources, such as other officers' statements, eyewitness accounts, media coverage, etc. Threat awareness spectrum. The threat awareness spectrum illustrates the desired state of awareness and readiness of an officer while on duty. By operating normally in condition yellow, an officer will be ready to move to condition orange and condition red as appropriate for the situation. Officers should avoid condition white and condition black. Condition white. Under condition white, an officer is unaware that a threat exists. The attention is unfocused or preoccupied, and the officer is oblivious of danger in his or her environment. Condition yellow. Under condition yellow, the officer has a general awareness of possible threats. Attention is focused, and the officer scans the environment for potential threats. Condition orange. The officer recognizes that a threat exists. Awareness of a specific threat encourages pre-planning and more intense focus. Physical indicators of stress may become evident. Condition red. The specific threat is identified and appropriate actions are taken. The threat is assessed and managed through intensified cognitive and physical reactions. Survival stress functions become optimum. Condition black. Under condition black, the threat is mismanaged due to panicked stress response. Survival stress functions break down, submission or freezing may occur. What can you do? Survival stress is a natural reaction to danger, but officers can prepare and increase their chances of controlling the effects of the stress. You can do the following: pre-plan, stay physically fit, know what to expect, rely on gross motor movements over fine and complex motor skills, expect resistance with every encounter with a subject. The time to figure out what to do is before the confrontation begins, because during the confrontation, your heart rate will be consistently over 145 beats per minute and your cognitive brain will shut down. What you operate on is what is stored in your midbrain. Here is where your training and emotions are stored. You may experience fear, anger, panic, anxiety, or any combination of these emotions. If you've trained enough, you can call upon responses already planted in your midbrain, and your chances of surviving the encounter greatly improves. In the absence of a prepared response, you can expect denial, panic, and anything from shutdown and submission to extreme, uncontrolled violence that could enter the realm of excessive force. The desired outcome is a pre-planned, controlled response. When going into a stressful situation that will test your mind and body, you can expect a better outcome the more physically fit you are. Hopefully, injury can be avoided. If an injury is sustained, a fit person will be able to fight through the pain and recover more quickly than a non-fit person. Because gross motor skills are enhanced and fine and complex motor skills degrade, you should readjust your tactics to capitalize on these physiological changes. For example, you should choose gross motor moves for defensive tactics whenever possible. You can develop these skills through static, fluid, and dynamic training drills. Confidence in a technique or system, combined with your ability to perform, lowers the heart rate and decreases the panic response. Finally, train yourself to expect resistance from any subject you encounter. No matter how seemingly routine the situation, expect the unexpected. Don't be caught in denial, which will only slow your reaction time. Instead, survive through careful observance, diligence, proper training, and applying the appropriate skills at the right time.